Hi everyone, welcome to Fable Yoga Series Day 9. Welcome back, hope you're still following along. My name is Marisse and I'm a yoga teacher in London, and today we'll be doing a dynamic power flow which will be focusing mainly on twists, so have fun, just do what you can and enjoy. All right, then let's get started. So come to a lying down position on your back. That's where we're going to start. So as you lie down, allow it to be in any lying down position that's comfortable for you. So whether that's your legs bent, you can extend your legs out, you can kind of take up as much space with your hands or maybe place the hands onto the body. And then if it feels okay, close down your eyes, but if it feels like better to just gaze toward the ceiling, soft gaze, soften the eyelids, you can do that. And just take a moment before we get moving, get a little bit warmer, take a moment to notice what it feels like to be still. Just noticing the body, maybe noticing sounds around. And see if you can bring your attention to your breath. And not that there's a right or wrong way for the breath to be, but just notice. And then if it helps, maybe begin to take a couple of rounds of slightly deeper inhales and exhales. So nice and steady as you inhale, you might feel the belly rise. And when you can't inhale anymore, release, nice and steady exhale. So prana, meaning life force, or often translated into breath. Just notice your breath. And when you've taken those couple of rounds of deeper inhales and exhales, just allow it to kind of fall into place. So just allow the breath to go in and out as it will. And again, see if you can soften the jaw, the space in between the eyebrows. And then when you're ready, if your legs aren't already bent, begin to bend at the knees, draw the knees in toward the chest. And you can bring your hands to your shins. And if there's an intuitive kind of feeling to rock side to side, allow yourself to do that. You might be circling the knees around. Just take a couple of moments to just feel the hips, the back onto the floor. You might be here in stillness like me. And just know that at any point throughout this practice, you can take any variation of a pose. Feel free to opt out of a pose. It doesn't matter if you don't do what's called the full expression. It doesn't matter, just enjoy. So from here, you might begin to, if you have a bit of energy, rock and roll up the length of the mat. So hands onto the shins and just see how it feels to rock and roll up the length of the mat. If you don't want to do this, you're just going to turn to your side instead. You're going to lie down on the side and maybe on the fourth or fifth rock, come up to seated. If you're on your side, you're coming up to a seated position. Now, bend your knees and bring your legs, your feet in front of you, of course, because your feet are attached to your legs. You bring your knees together and begin to think about your sit bones grounding onto the mat. Think about kind of pulling the belly into the spine, and you're going to lift your feet off the mat, coming to Navasana boat pose. So you can have your feet touching the mat if you prefer. You can raise them a little bit higher, maybe to the point where the shins are in line with the ground, and maybe hands coming underneath the thighs, kind of gently touching, or you might begin to extend the fingertips towards the toes. And just notice what it's like. At any point you can bring the feet down, but see if you can be here for a couple more breaths, maybe really extending fingertips towards toes. If you feel like you're rounding a little bit, not the end of the world, but see if you can kind of lift the chest. And then see if you can begin to twist your body to the right. And as you do so, see if you can bring your palms together at heart center. You might keep it here, you might maybe hook left elbow to the outside of the right thigh, to see if you can kind of keep your knees in alignment. Doesn't matter too much if they come out, but a little bit of a challenge. And then lower the feet down toward the ground. That was definitely more than a couple of breaths. And when I said it'll be a couple of breaths. Now we're coming into a little bit of a twist. So allow your knees to see if you can energize them towards each other. Sit up nice and tall. And it doesn't matter how much you twist. So it can be a little bit. You can begin to turn the head, kind of look behind, just have a little bit of a play. Feel the sit bones onto the ground. See if you can sit up nice and tall. And then as you next inhale, release elbow from the thigh, untwist, you're coming back into Navasana boat pose. So again, can you lift your feet off of the mat? We'll go a little bit quicker this time. You might bring your hands here for a moment, and we're going to twist. So even if you twist, you might keep your hands onto the thighs. You might bring your palms together at heart center. Remember, there's so many options you can take. Maybe it's hooking the elbow to the outside of the thigh. This is hurting. Not with pain, but just intensity. So if it is for you, notice, you can always bring your feet down. We're going to do it anyway. And one more inhale. Exhale, release feet towards the ground. Sit up nice and tall and take this into a twist. So I know I'm facing away from you, but this is just so that I don't confuse you if I keep moving around the mat. So just sit up nice and tall. You might look behind you. You might not. Doesn't matter how much twist you do. And then use your next inhale to bring it all the way back. Thighs are burning. So you might take one shin in front of the other. You're going to bring your hands down in front of your legs and then walk the knees back, coming to tabletop position. So on all fours. Roughly hands underneath the shoulders and knees underneath the hips. We're going to move into cat-cows. Let's take a couple of cat-cows. So our cat-cows is when you inhale, dip the belly, allow it to drop down, the tailbone, as if you're kind of sending it behind and up towards the ceiling, and you might begin to draw the chin up towards the chest, not up towards the chest, up towards the ceiling, and look up. And on the exhale, this rounding, think now about chin toward chest. Take a few of these. And do this at your own pace. Kind of feel into the spine. And then when you're ready, bring it to what feels like neutral. Begin to tuck your toes, push your hands into the mat, and then lift your knees off the mat just an inch. Maybe even draw the shoulders a little bit further forward than the fingertips. So knees can be off the mat a couple of inches, 5 inches, onto the mat if you prefer. You can hold, pull the belly into the spine, really push the ground away, maybe even doming up a back a little bit here. Remember, don't worry too much about kind of where you're at, as long as you're here in some capacity. And then begin to send your hips nice and high, push your hands into the mat even more. Begin to straighten the legs a little bit more, coming to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Now see if you can relax the head in between the arms and have a little bit of movement if you like. Some people like to be in stillness and downward facing dog, and that's absolutely fine. You can bend one leg and then the other. Just notice kind of where your hands want to be. Is it kind of shoulder width distance, maybe a little bit wider? Just check out how the hamstrings feel today. So you want this lovely lengthened spine and sending the bottom nice and high. So sometimes that means bringing a nice deep bend into the knees, especially to begin with. Be here. Take a couple of breaths, maybe looking back towards your toes, your ankles, that direction. To gaze and keep focus. We call this drishti, focal gaze. Now my legs don't want to straighten. Hamstrings are really tight, so I'm going to keep a nice bend into the knees. Begin to turn your left toes out to the left just a little bit and see if you can ground the left heel down. If you can't, if it doesn't feel available, allow the heel to be lifted, or you might step it forward a little bit. And then look towards your hands. Begin to pick up your right foot, step it forward. Think about in between the hands. If it needs a helping hand, take it there. Bend into right leg, press the feet into the mat, rise up, warrior one. Now if you get here and it feels really icky for that back heel, just allow it to come up, no problem. Warrior one, kind of arms, nice reaching fingertips nice and high, biceps by ears. Doesn't matter how much of a bend into the right leg, we're all different. I really don't like this pose. And then we're going to come to a high lunge. So what you'll do is you come onto the ball of the back foot and pick up the back heel and just turn your left toes in slightly. And if your feet don't feel hip width distance, just make sure they're hip width distance. So you might take that right foot a little bit wider, bend into your right leg, maybe a little bit deeper, coming into high lunge. And then begin to bring your palms together at heart center. And then begin to see if you can twist to your right. So as you twist to your right, just make sure that that left kind of hip isn't collapsing down too much. So nice strong foundation with the legs. As you twist, the twist doesn't have to be big. You can be here. If you like to lean forward and hook the left elbow to the outside of the thigh, by all means do that and embrace the kind of wobbles that might be happening. Take one more inhale. Exhale, and then lift the elbow off of the knee if it's there. Begin to untwist, then release your left hand down onto the mat underneath the left shoulder. You move back into the twist, so your right arm's going to reach up. If you prefer, of course, you have your right hand onto the hip. You might even gaze up towards the fingertips. And we're going to move into a side plank. So there's lots of different variations you can do. You can take your left knee down now. You're going to turn and come onto the outer edge of the left foot, and as many steps as it takes, take your right foot to step maybe on top of the left or maybe in front of. Take your hips nice and high, so think about bananaing the body. And you can be here, you can be here, any little variation. Try to enjoy it. I'm not enjoying it, but you might. Hips nice and high, maybe gazing up towards your fingertips. See if you can raise that foot, right foot off of the left foot, maybe. And then when you're ready on your next exhale, you're going to bring the right hand down, the right foot down, return. Well, not return, because the first time we're coming, it's a plank position. Now, see if you can hold your plank. Of course, your knees can come down. See if you can pull belly into spine, wherever you are. Maybe sending shoulders a little bit further forward. See how that feels. Energize the heels away from you. And then begin to take your knees down toward the ground if you haven't already. Just walk your knees a little bit further forward, so you're in that tabletop position. Next, inhale, you're going to sweep the right arm up. Think about fingertips up toward the ceiling. And as you exhale, you're going to thread this right hand through the gap between left wrist and left knee, all the way over to the left, so you can release that right shoulder and your head all the way down toward the ground. Thread the needle. You might extend that left arm forward. See if you can relax into it. Only here for one more. Inhale and exhale. And then slide that left hand back towards, a little bit closer towards your face. You're going to press that left hand into the mat. Reach your right arm all the way back up again. And then placing that hand back. Now walk your feet back into a plank position. As you return back to plank, so raise your right foot off the mat. Again, it doesn't have to be huge. You don't have to be up here. Just a little bit. Just notice what it's like. Pull belly into the spine, and then see if you can draw your knee towards your chest. Again, you can dome the upper back, so you can really push the hands into the mat. And then see if you can bring your right knee over to the left elbow, or in that direction. I can't actually touch it, but you might be able to. And then see if you can extend that right leg out to the left, placing the foot down onto the ground, coming to fallen triangle. So you can turn your left toes out to the left, grounding the whole of the foot. Begin to reach your left arm up, maybe, or maybe it's onto the hip. Now, if you dare, you might take that right foot off of the mat and give it a little bit of a hover. Demoing and talking is really hard. And then if that foot is hovering, see if you can keep it hovering. We're going to bring our left hand down and then bring the knee back in towards the chest, that knee towards chest, plank position. Really nice. And you'll step your right foot forward. Begin to bend into right leg. Just begin to see if you can hover the fingertips off of the mat. So you're like a little runner's lunge. And then bring the fingertips down. Now your left foot is going to meet your right, coming to a forward fold and Uttanasana. Feet maybe roughly hip width distance. You have a little bit of movement here. Take a couple of breaths to be. And then as you next inhale, bring your hands to your shins, a little halfway lift. So think about squeezing the shoulder blades together, pulling belly into spine. You might look forward. And then as you exhale, bending the knees, allowing the head to drop. Now inhale, bend your knees, sit onto an imaginary chair as you sweep your arms, maybe forward, maybe biceps in line with ears. If you don't like this, you're going to have your hands onto your hips. You can choose how high the chair is. It could be here, it could be here. Take one more inhale. As you exhale, you press your feet into the mat. You're going to reach your arms up. Fingertips reach, extending towards ceiling, maybe palms press. And then as you exhale, hands through heart center. And then beside the hips, we arrive Tadasana, mountain pose at the top of the mat. Inhale. Exhale. And then you're going to, next inhale, reach your arms up, look up. As you exhale, hinge and fold. Come all the way down. Palms might press. Place your hands onto the mat. It doesn't matter if they're beside the feet or in front of the feet. You're going to make your way back to the plank. So if you have it in you and you feel like you want to today, you're going to jump back maybe to a plank. If you just think, I don't want to do that, you're going to walk back to your plank position. You can bring your knees down, untuck the toes, or keep your knees up. As you exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. So elbows bend backwards. If your knees are down, you bring the chest all the way down, halfway down if knees are up. And then inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Lifting the chest, engaging the glutes. And then tuck your toes, send your hips high. Downward facing dog. Now turn your right toes out to the right a little bit, heel ground. Remember, you can step the right foot forward if the heel doesn't want to ground. Honor that, and you're going to step your left foot forward now, bend into the left leg, reach arms up, press left foot into the mat. Warrior one, so you want your hips roughly to facing the top of the mat. Allow your feet to get a little bit wider. Again, if that heel doesn't feel right, you're going to pick it up. Maybe palms press, maybe they don't. Bending into the left leg. Now we'll go to a high lunge. So kind of shuffle that right foot back if that's what needs to happen. Just turn your right toes in a little bit, bend into your left leg, coming to your high lunge position. Good work. I'm presuming you're going to bring your palms together at heart center and see if you can twist to your left. Again, you can twist a little bit, it doesn't have to be too much. You can hook the elbow to the outside or on top of that left thigh. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to be up here. Really power up the back leg, so press into the ball of the back foot. Maybe a little bit more bend into that left leg. Everything's optional. And as you next inhale, untwist. You can bring your right hand down onto the floor, underneath the right shoulder, begin to twist to your left as you reach your left fingertips up. Sorry, my back is facing you. And then remember, as we move into our side plank position, any variations, so if you want to bring the right knee down, you do that. Otherwise, come onto the outer edge of the right foot. As many steps as it takes, left leg is going to stack on top of your right. Your side plank, here you are. You might be with your knee down. You might be onto the forearm. Just work with whatever you're working with. Everything is as worthy as each other in different variations of poses. Hips nice and high, reach fingertips. See if you can really grip the mat with right fingertips. Maybe left foot hovers off of the right. Maybe it doesn't. And you're going to bring that left hand down as you exhale, left foot down, plank position, regular plank, all the planks today. Shoulders over the wrists. And now begin to hover your left foot. A little bit, it doesn't have to be too much. It could be here, it can be here. I don't want to be here, so I'm going to be here. And as you next inhale, you're going to draw your left knee towards chest. You might bring your shoulders a little bit further forward. And then see if you can bring your left knee over to the right elbow in that direction somewhere. And then you see if you can extend that left leg out to the right. Foot can stay onto the ground, of course. Fallen triangle, so you're going to bring your arm up. Maybe seeing if you can get your hips a little bit higher. Push the left hand into the mat. You can, of course, come onto your forearms if you're working with kind of wrist injuries, or if it doesn't feel good, you're going to bring that left foot up maybe and hover it. Fallen triangle. Now, wherever you are, hips nice and high. And then bring the left knee in toward the chest. And then bring that right hand down, your back into the knee in towards chest. And then step your left foot forward. Now, bend into right legs. Keep your right knee off of the mat. If you want, you can lower it down, completely up to you. Just hover the fingertips off of the mat. Look forward, kind of lifting the chest as you bend into your left leg. I'm sweating. And then you're going to bring your hands down, and then you're going to step that right foot forward, coming to your Uttanasana, your forward fold. Allow the head to kind of hang heavy. You might even wrap the arms around the legs. You can bring opposite elbows. And then when you're ready, your next inhale, you're going to bring your hands to your shins, come up halfway. Exhale, folding again. Next inhale, you'll bend the knees, Uttanasana chair pose. Can I be here with the hands? You can be here. Take one more inhale as you exhale, straighten the legs. Keep your arms reaching up. So Urdhva Hastasana, arms above head, upward mountain, and then keep reaching your fingertips, do nice and high, so shoulders up by ears, and then see if you can come onto the balls of your feet, picking up your heels on your little tippy toes. If this doesn't happen, it doesn't matter how high you go, you can come up and down, wherever you are. You've got one more inhale. Then as you exhale, you're going to bring the heels down. When the heels come down, Uttanasana chair pose, back into, weight into heels, sit in the bottom somewhat low, nice long spine, and bring your palms together at heart center. And then begin to twist to your right in your chair pose. So you can lift chest. You can hook the elbow to the outside of the right thigh. Now see if you can pick up your left foot. Knees kind of together, maybe pointing that toe behind you. This may happen, it may not, it doesn't really matter where you are, and you can see if you can extend that left leg back. Now if this happens all the time to me, so this happens, kind of wobbling, embracing the wobbles if it happens, wherever you are. I'm sure you're doing really great. Even if falling all over the place today. That happens. Now begin to allow that foot to come down onto the mat. Nice big step behind you. And then as you inhale, high lunge. Reach your arms up. Now your weight's going to go into your right foot. So your left foot might come a little bit closer towards the right. And you're going to shift your weight into right foot. And begin to hover that left foot off the mat. Warrior 3. So remember, Warrior 3 doesn't have to be this pencil long, perfect kind of horizontal line. This is Warrior 3. Foot off the ground. Whatever you want to do with the arms, it can be here, it can be here. Nice bend into the right leg. My right leg is dying. So, having the wobbles. Right leg, left leg behind you, and then see if you can bring your fingertips down toward the ground. If you have blocks or something block-like, you can place them underneath you. It doesn't matter how high this left leg is, so don't worry about it being like the actual splits. I can't do it. As long as that left leg is behind you somewhat, think about depth over the height. And you might walk your fingertips or the block a little bit closer towards that foot. And a nice bend into the right leg and come all the way to stand. And you're going to bring that left knee up in front of you, coming to dancing Shiva. Really nice. So left leg can stay bent. You're going to bring your right hand onto the left knee. You're going to extend maybe that left leg, left arm behind you. And if you want to, you can bring your right hand to the outside of the left foot and extend it. I don't want to do this, so I'm going to be here. And then wherever you are, begin to take the left foot down, release, give that right leg a little bit of a shake. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, hands coming down. Inhale, halfway. Hands onto the mat. Make your way back to the plank in any way that feels wise. So you might hop it back, you might walk it back. And we forgot to thread the needle on the other side, didn't I? So you're going to bring your knees down now. And then this time, hands underneath the shoulders. You're going to sweep your left arm widen up, reach it up, and then as you exhale, left hand goes through the gap between right wrist, right knee. This is a nice little break. And take a couple of breaths here. You might extend that right arm forward. Taking the twist on this side. Then you're going to bring that right hand back towards you. You're going to release. We're going to pretend that I didn't shove this in. Later on in the practice, reach that left arm up and then bring it down. Now extend your legs back, coming to a plank position. You can go straight to downward facing dog. Of course you can. Otherwise, on your next exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Knees can be down, remember. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. If it's cobra, try not to lift too much. We're just about here. Shoulders roll back, elbows back. When you're ready, tuck your toes. Push your hands into the mat. Hips nice and high. Downward facing dog. Now look towards your hands. You're going to bend your knees. You could hop it forward. You could step it. Come to a halfway lift. Hands to your shins. Roll shoulders back. Exhale, folding. And then inhale, chair pose. So your chair might have got really high at the moment. So a little bend into the knees is totally fine. You can really bring that deep bend into the knees. If you like, you're going to bring your palms together at heart center. And now we twist to our left. Same thing. Doesn't matter how much twist you have here. Just be kind, be wise, whatever feels best. If you want to explore hooking the elbow to the outside of the knee, you take that, you might use it to kind of rotate, look up towards the ceiling. If that right knee is coming out right and a lot more than the left, it doesn't really matter. You can bring them back into alignment, play into that kind of working on knees coming together. Now begin to shift your weight into your left foot. I'm going to hover here, and then you're going to pick up your right leg and think about your knees coming together and just maybe pointing the toes behind you, and then see if you can begin to extend the leg behind you and come into this little twisted. So the challenge here is to balance on one leg. We've also got the twist going on. So it doesn't matter how much twist, like a variation of Warrior 3. Doesn't matter if the foot comes down, up, it happens. Really good. Whenever you're ready, you're going to bring that right foot down. Make your way into your high lunge. So again, feet roughly hip width distance. You're going to bend into that left leg, bringing your arms up. I'm sure you're doing so well. Press into the ball of the back foot, high lunge. And now we're going to shift our weight into our left foot. So you can have your hands on your hips, of course you can. Shift your weight into your left foot. Right foot might come a little bit closer. And then slowly as you shift that weight, right leg comes off. Warrior 3. So you can be here, you can be here. Palms together if we're kind of staying with that theme, as it were. You can come out, have a little bit of a break. Take that right leg behind you. Warrior 3. And when you're ready, We'll turn it into standing split. So you're going to bend into your left leg, your fingertips are going to come down. You're going to wobble like me. You might bring your blocks onto the ground and use it as a little bit of leverage. You might point that back foot. Any variation, just choose how you want to play, how you want to be. Standing splits. You might walk your fingertips a little bit closer. Now press into that left foot. You're going to come all the way to stand, balancing on left leg. As you wobble on your way up, you can put the foot down, of course. You're going to bring that right knee out in front of you. Now, hands coming onto your hips, dancing Shiva. So, left hand onto the right knee. You begin to take that right arm behind you maybe. It doesn't have to. You twist to the other direction. Now, if you'd like to, you can take the hand to the outside of the right foot and extend the leg out. And try this. You want to think about more length in the spine rather than this leg. So if you've got a nice tall kind of standing position, the leg is bent, totally fine. Now wherever you are, I'm going to be here. One more inhale. And then as you exhale, you're going to bring it all the way back. You're going to bring your leg onto the ground. You're going to give your left leg a little bit of a shake. And then just allow yourself to fold. Be here. Now we have options for the next things before we go into our Shavasana, well, to our kind of a few slower stretches and then a cool down. So you bring your hips down onto your heels. And you can bring your knees together and your feet together. You can come into an arm balance called side crow. So if you don't want to do this, your hips are going to come down. You're going to come into a nice little twist like we did at the beginning of the practice. If you want to have a go at side crow, think about your knees coming together as if your knees are like 12 o'clock. And you're going to twist to your right. Think about your hands being more like 3 o'clock. Hands underneath the shoulders and you're creating a shelf with your upper arms, elbow to the right hip, left elbow to the crease on the right side, and begin to maybe shift weight into your hands. Now as you shift the weight, keep your hips nice and high, chest nice and lifted. The feet might begin to pop off, they might not. Some people like to take the one-armed variation. Some people don't like to do this at all. Come here. And if you're having a little bit of a play, just come to the other side. If you want to, so if you're taking the twist and you prefer to be in a twist, the twist that we did at the beginning of the practice. If you're coming into your side crow, so same thing. See if you can energize your legs towards each other as you twist to your left, hands come down. Now the twist is deep, the elbows are coming and creating a shelf with the upper arms. Now try not to let the elbows go out to the side, they're coming backwards. And as you shift your weight, it doesn't have to be perfect. Feet might come off, maybe one foot, maybe the other foot. Maybe no feet and you're shifting weight. And then wherever you are, when you're ready, if you've come into kind of an arm balance, a twist, bring yourself back onto your hips. Give your arms a little bit of a shake, your legs a little bit of a shake. And then either, if it's comfortable for you, child's pose, knees coming together or wide, and you fold over. If it's not comfortable for you, consider taking your legs out in front of you, maybe bending the knees and just hugging maybe the legs. Allow your head to drop down, take a couple of moments. I prefer this variation personally. Come back to breath. Notice how breath is now. Just remembering that some poses feel good in the body, some poses don't, some poses come easy to us, we're all very different. Moving away from the idea that deep is best. And then when you're ready, from your child's pose or your legs out in front of you, you're going to come all the way back to lying down onto the mat. You can bring your arms wide. And before we move into a Shavasana, with a sweaty face, you can bring your knees into your chest and you can rock it side to side. You might take your knees wide, come to happy baby. So happy baby can be your hands underneath the thighs. You can bring your hands to the outer edges of the feet with the soles of the feet turning up toward the ceiling. Think about the knees coming wider than the kind of shoulders, armpits. Happy baby, maybe rocking side to side, maybe not. And then whatever grip you have, kind of release. Take any kind of wet shakes and wiggles that you might want to take. Your version of Shavasana, whether that's arms long, legs bent, hands on body. See if you can soften the eyes, the jaw. Now we move from focus on the asana in this top context, meaning posture. We bring ourselves from the moving meditation to stillness. So just notice what it's like to be still. Notice the heartbeat, notice what you hear. See if you can close the eyes. And just be. And then when you've taken those moments to come back to stillness, noticing how you are, noticing what it's like, your relationship to lying back down again, you can begin to move your fingers, your toes, turning head side to side. Of course, you can stay lying down for as long as you like. You usually take a little bit of a longer Shavasana. And when you're ready, you can bring your knees in towards your chest. Take a little bit of movement. Now you might decide to lie on your side, stay there. If you have a little bit of energy, eyes can be closed or open. You're going to come all the way back up. Whew. And any seated position, it doesn't have to be cross-legged. If you prefer to sit onto an actual seat like a sofa or something, anything, say lying down if you like. If you come to a seated position, a little bit of length into the spine, hands are resting onto the legs maybe, and you might take one hand to the belly, one hand to the heart. You might take your hands together for Namaskar Mudra, and just for a moment, just notice right here, right now, what it's like. Knowing the practice will start with benefits to yourself and then always extending into the actions that we take with the people around us. So this connection. And whenever you're ready, you're going to open your eyes, release your hands, kind of soften, return back. Oh, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you thought. If you've been following the series and you enjoyed this, give us a comment. Hope to see you for the next one, and enjoy. Thank you so much.